In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly disassemble and maintain your GForce Arms GF99 semi-automatic shotgun. First thing we want to do is make sure that the shotgun is clear of all ammunition. We have the magazine out, hold the bolt back, and then make sure that there's no ammunition in the chamber. We need to make sure that the shotgun is on fire selection. We need to lock the bolt to the rear. And then we have a takedown lever on the side that we need to flip in the downward position, so pointing towards the mag well. We'll first need to take out the choke to slide the fore end off, and that simply unscrews. Set that aside. Take the magazine cap off, because that's what holds our fore end on, and our fore end will slide straight up and off. At this point, what we need to do is we need to release the bolt forward, so we'll go ahead and push the bolt to stop, ride it forward. And then we have this lock nut, it's knurled. It's gonna thread once and then thread twice. It's good, unthread it all the way. And we'll notice that the knurling, when we take it off, is actually on top, and then we have these little detent holes in the bottom, and it's important that when we reinstall that the detent holes go down. So make note, set that straight up. And from here, what we wanna do is we wanna ride the operating rod assembly back a little bit so we can take off pressure of the bolt, and we'll pull that charging handle straight out, set that aside. And then to get the barrel off, we're gonna go ahead and just give that a little nudge and then work the barrel straight out. And if you need to, apply a little downward pressure on the operating rod assembly to take pressure off the barrel assembly. Set that aside. And then our operating rod and bolt and spring assembly all slide out from the receiver. And we can separate all of these. So I have my bolt, operating rod assembly, operating end cap, and the spring just comes apart like that. Now for cleaning and oiling, we're gonna use a mild carbon solvent that's intended for firearms use. We'll use a brush, clean it, dry it, and then re-oil it. A good tip on oiling is anywhere you see a wear mark, go ahead and put a light coat of oil on there, just the lightest coat possible, and that way it'll be nice and lubricated, but it won't attract more carbon. We'll go over to our barrel assembly, and there's a couple of things to note here. Our piston comes straight out, and you'll notice that it has a big ridge to it, and that's the exposed portion of it. We'll go ahead and clean this off the same way we did a bolt, with a light solvent, a brush. This doesn't really need oil, but if you feel the need, please use a very light coat of oil, very thin, and then reinstall. We'll go ahead and reinstall our piston. And reassembly is just following the reverse steps. We'll first start by putting together our front end of the operating system. So you'll notice that there is this big lobe that the bolt rides on, and then the opposite, we have the end cap, which houses our spring. There's two little notches in the front that this meets on. It is possible to put this back together the opposite way, but you'll notice that it doesn't line up. These fingers have to go in those grooves right there, and that meets. And we can go ahead and put our spring back on. Kind of clicks in place, and it'll be held in place right there. And then put our bolt on, and kind of holding this all together with my left hand. Put the bolt on, and we test our bolt function just by sliding it back and forth. We see that the locking block goes up and down, so we're in good shape. And we'll take this whole assembly, slide it on the operating tube. Nice and easy, straight back. An important thing to note is that the charging handle is keyed, and that key goes upwards towards the carrying handle. We'll slide that in, and when I do that, there's two recess ways that I have to line up. So I'm gonna keep light pressure on this and jiggle it around a little bit until those line up. And then I'll apply pressure towards the left side until it clicks. And then the bolt and the charging handle is set and everything's locked in place. And from here, we'll go ahead and keep our thumb on the charging handle, apply light pressure, and then we'll drop the piston and barrel assembly on there. And here's where I'm gonna manipulate the charging handle, bolt, and barrel assembly at the same time. Buy myself a little slack there. It's fully seated, and I can let the charging handle go. And I'll notice that our barrel's fully seated there, and everything is good to go with the barrel. We'll take our end cap here, the piston assembly, thread it once and twice. An important thing to notice, I stated earlier, the knurling's up, and then I have little detent recesses. So when we get down there, you should hear that clicking, and I know that I've installed that correctly. I'll go ahead and tighten it until there's no more clicking and it's nice and snug. take our forend, drop it straight on. And the important part to the forend is you're gonna need to wiggle it around until it drops into place and clicks, and it'll meet the little cutouts in the receiver right there. So it's nice and flush, firm. Go ahead and take our cap, holds the forend on. Tighten it all the way down. You should hear some clicking. And then it's nice and tight. Take our choke. And then when we reinstall a choke, we'll actually, if we're firing this weapon, we'll put a little bit of choke tube grease on there so it doesn't bind. But this one's nice and freshly oiled. And then tighten that all the way down by hand and just make sure it's good and snug. All right, now what we need to do is we need to lock the bolt to the rear by pushing down on the ping pong paddle. Holds the bolt open, and then we're gonna take that takedown lever, put it back into the parallel position. We'll go ahead and push the bolt forward, and we'll perform a function check to make sure that we put everything together correctly and the firearm functions. So we'll go ahead and put it on fire. We'll charge it, put it on safe. Shotgun will not fire. We'll put it on fire, fires, and we're good to go. And that is how you properly disassemble and maintain your GForce Arms GF99 semi-automatic shotgun.